You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Marcus, I'll tell you what, when I started preparing for this show, I started thinking, my gosh, what are you gonna do? You gotta keep your composure on this one because a lady is coming on the show. A lady is coming on the show, and it got me more focused to think about, my gosh, the incredible life that she's led, right? The challenges she faces as a woman, the dreams and aspirations of shifting from one profession to another. Man, and I just started thinking, what an incredible story of...
Well, that's what lets you know how special she is, when you can excel in just one of the things that she did, but then she transitions over to something else.
To another one, right? And it doesn't... One of the interesting things about her is, yes, she comes in, she's a beautiful woman. She's identified as a top cheerleader, a model, and all these... But the depth behind this woman is incredible. I think it really makes an impact.
When did it start being a problem to be beautiful?
Well, by those who want to condemn somebody for their looks.
I don't get it.
Luckily, you and I don't have that problem.
No.
And I think that's the beauty. We have had to use...
I just want to say right now that I don't have any problem that she's beautiful coming on here.
That's what I figured. That's
you know what I mean?
So if
we would treat her equally.
So if this is your first time tuning into the Team Never Quit podcast, Mr. Never Quit and I want to welcome you. I'm David Rutherford, and this is Marcus Luttrell on the other side. So Marcus, why do we do this show, brother?
We do this to show everybody who listens that it doesn't matter what you do in life or who you are, what's inside of you is what counts, and how you harness that. And we bring all these people in from all walks of life, exceptional people who've been down the rabbit's hole and been to the top, so to speak. And then we peel behind the curtain and look in there and do the attention to detail, the little things that you have.
The pain, the discipline, all the things
all that comes in that you build on to get to where they were at. And when you look at it like that, man, it's everybody can do it.
Everybody can do it. And that's what we want you to believe. We want you to recognize that no matter who you are, where you come from around the world, whatever socioeconomic background, whatever color your skin is, race or gender, it doesn't matter. You have the power to never quit as long as you tap into these core fundamental ideas that our guests share with us over and over again. If you want to know more about why we do what we do, who we are, and who we've had on the show, please visit our website at tnqpodcast.com. That's tnqpodcast.com. And while you're there, check out all the different shows, listen to all the different stories, and find the one that inspires you. Also, go visit the teamneverquit.com website, and you can check out our cool merchandise, the Team Never Quit speakers, the ammunition we sell, and all the other things that will bring you onto the team, because we believe, and that's why Marcus has started the whole Team Never Quit group, the membership. The idea is to create a group of people that can coalesce together around this mentality.
It's team.
It's team,
yep.
Period. And where team plays the most important role in our life, where that team life mentality really comes into play, is when the going gets tough. When the combat of life is beating us down, that negative insurgency is pummeling us over and over again. We need to have a place to go, to be lifted out of the ashes, to rise to the place where we can achieve with great people around us and that is the team never quit esprit de corps. All right. So before we get started, as we typically do, Marcus, we have a little historical event, a historical person that we want to talk about in order to reference the ideas of what the person who's coming on after. We want to set you up and understand the relevance and the possibilities behind where people come from, why they start, the direction they're going in life. So I picked a doozy for us on this one, brother. The person we are going to start out with, in terms of her amazing transformation from, her late teens into her, 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and what she's doing now is Cindy Crawford.
Right? Yeah.
All right. So everybody knows Cindy Crawford is among one of the greatest supermodels of all time. In fact, Men's Health magazine has her in the top 100 hottest women of all time. VH1's 40 hottest hotties of 90. But regardless of all that, what you got to understand is that, how smart and intelligent. She graduated in 1984 as the valedictorian. A cool part about her was she actually earned a scholarship to study chemical engineering at Northwestern University, which is one of the greatest schools in country, right?
Northwestern.
I mean, it's one of the most successful. However, she only attended one quarter because at 17, someone discovered her to become a model, and she dropped out to pursue a full-time modeling career. Now, thank God she did, because she went on to appear in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar,
Thank you, Cindy, for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to thank you from the Generation X guys for giving up that scholarship at Northwestern and following this path.
Following this dream, because she went on to appear in every major modeling campaign, every major magazine, every major designer, from Versace, Calvin Klein, David Yurman, Oscar de la Renta. Everybody out there had to have Cindy Crawford, the hometown girl from Illinois. The other cool thing is she went on in her fame. She was really the first person as a supermodel to go beyond just modeling and move into the mainstream of whether it was being in George Michael's famous hit Freedom, right? Freedom! Oh, you don't remember that song? I thought it was an awesome.
I don't remember it sounding like that.
All I have to do.
Yeah. Remember it sounding like that?
Now, well, listen. That's why the wizard is the musician, and I'm on this thing right here. But all right, not only did she do that, but later on she went in after her she ran MTV's House of Style. She was in a bunch of other movies. But the cool thing about Cindy is she realized that modeling wasn't going to be the extent of her career. She went on to design. She's one of the first celebrities to get out there and design a product line for her own beauty products. Was Jean-Louis Sebga? Man, I butcher every name. I just forget it. She started the Cindy Crawford home furniture collection. I mean, the women, and she worked with J.C. Penney's. I mean, the woman went on to realize that she took this component, her beauty, but that wasn't all. She became an incredible businesswoman who started this empire. That's what's amazing. And on top of that, her activism and charity work is just as significant. Because when Cindy was 10 years old, she lost her 3-year-old brother, Jeff, to leukemia, which dedicated her entire life to helping find cures for childhood leukemia. She also works extensively with the Ronald McDonald House. She's a person who understands that to take the most out of life, to follow her dreams, and to really be successful.
I mean, the great thing about Cindy, I've always heard she's a wonderful person too.
Absolutely.
And very genuine.
Yep.
And the thing she's done is she's been relative in multiple generations. And when it comes to the line of work she starts in, man, that's a tough business.
Oh,
and for those
it's so
that,
cutthroat.
Yeah, exactly. That stay in it for as long as she did, and to be relative. I mean, to be on the top, right? And then just follow on with all those multiple charities and everything says a great deal about it. And you know, Christy Brinkley was like that, man.
Absolutely.
And you see those
Uptown girl.
Yeah, exactly. Because they travel around so much and talk to people. Everyone wants to talk to them, look at them, not only just take their pictures. So the stress on top of all that. You see a president, or most people, when they start to encounter stress or they get into an environment like that where is it extremely stressful, man, they age.
Totally.
Right? That's the wonder. That's the mind-boggling thing, man, is the people that are in that, like her and Christy, that are actresses and models, and they go into all these philanthropies and what like that, and they still maintain their beauty.
Yeah,
They don't. The stress doesn't get to them. I like that.
Well, because it's gotten us, but because we're definitely not supermodels. The one thing
I came in looking like I had already been in for a while.
You were definitely seasoned.
I had my first OIC, man, dude. He was a lieutenant, and I was like, man, he must have been prior enlisted. I was just.
He was for sure, huh?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
And he was younger than me.
No,
yeah, he looked like he was
just tore up,
pushing cattle in Arizona.
His whole life.
Yeah, he looked like a cowboy.
Yeah,
but
the Marlboro man who had like. Well, the interesting thing about when you look at the modeling profession and prior to I think Cindy and her class of models. Back in the 60s and 70s, models were really treated pretty poorly, and it was dominated by, a really kind of intense world of where they were just objects. And I think Cindy Crawford is one of the pioneers to go beyond that, to break free of the traditional confines, to saying, you know what, hey, yes, I use my beauty as a leverage point, but again, my voice has always been there. My intelligence has always been there. And so when you think about the, expanding the horizons, I mean, one of the great psychological challenges, Marcus, and you probably could talk to a little bit of this, is when people have these preconceived notions of who you are, what you are, because of one particular thing. So just because she's beautiful, that's all she is, right?
Oh, sure.
Or, and people are, early on looked at you and, he's just this, tough, seal, and there's not much, I can't get beyond that. And I certainly think, there's more depth to us always.
Absolutely. I mean, you know as much as you've seen or heard, and if someone's filling your head in with what the rumor deal, right?
The rumor deal, yeah. Absolutely.
So, and that's one thing you and I do. We go out and actually live it, get into it, and experience both sides of it. So, sure, man, people formulate opinions all the time on something that they've seen and are heard in a snapshot in time, and that can add the stress. I mean, that adds a lot of stress, actually.
Tremendous amount, right?
Exactly, and I think that's when it's important to remember, man. Hey, look, you know who you are, you know what you did, and it's everybody else.
Bam.
Those people who are saying stuff like that. There's also the people out there who know, right? The real deal, and then just keep following the path.
Yeah, I mean, stay true to who you are.
Stay the course, right? I mean, if you know what's going on, then and it's the truth, then I don't even pay a second thought to it.
Right.
Like if there's something out, like when you hear stories come out about the untold story of Operation Red Wing, you know what I mean? There is no untold story. Yeah. I'm the only one that made it off the mountain. I'm the only one that knows what happened, and and we told the American public what happened. So it's kind of one of those. It's still going to happen. Right. People are still going to say something with they think they know what happens, or they think they know what's going on, and they put it out, and that's their
That's their opinion. That's what happened.
That's what they do. So,
and that's why I love when people really, they tap into what they believe in. They know what's true. They know what's right, and they have focus in their life to live out with that purpose. And they don't allow the naysayers, the haters, the people that are constantly looking to bring other human beings down. That's their job, right? And that's not what we do on this show. And unfortunately, I think women have to deal with that quite a bit, and especially women that are attractive. I think women are constantly having to, attractive women battle the preconceived notion that just because they have good looks, that they lack depth.
The more attributes you have as a person, the more people are going to come at you.
For sure. They want to tear it down. Well, let's get right into it, and let's welcome on this woman. And you've been friends with her for quite a while. She's a huge supporter of the Lone Survivor Foundation. She's a huge supporter of veterans issues and animal issues. She's a wonderful woman.
Service dogs for the guys.
Service dogs for the guys, hounds and heroes. And I got to tell you, man, it's just, I got a chance to work with her a few years ago at the Lone Survivor Foundation Gala in Chicago. Yep. And man, she is really on top of her game. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Bonnie Jill Laflin. Marcus, I've got to tell you, here's the deal. Okay, it's very rare in your life that you have an opportunity to bring someone on to get to know somebody who really has seen the spectrum of sports across its entirety, right? Who's seen it on the field, who's seen it off the field, who's been in the back office, who's been in the front office, who's been around it, who knows sports inside and out, and by the way, who's a woman. So
is good at it.
And is awesome at what she does.
Right.
And so for me, that gets me pumped up, man. That gets me fired up. And so excuse me there, Vern. We are so honored to have Bonnie Jill Laflin to the Team Never Quit podcast. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's an honor to be talking with you and Marcus. You know, I'm big fans, so thanks for having me.
Well, it's funny, and I wanted to bring this up. The first time I got to meet you is when we were doing the Lone Survivor Gala a couple of years ago up in Chicago,
Right.
And we came up and they introduced me to you, and I was like, oh, great, and went back and was doing a little research on you. And the thing that blew me away, and I hope we'll get to, is just the extended time that you've committed to troops and the amount of time you've actually gone down range,
Right.
which is
because I was there and I was walking away. I was walking somewhere and you're like, hey man, like eight deployments or something like that.
18, right?
I just remember, David, you said deployments, and so everyone thought I was, in the Marines or a SEAL or something. But then they didn't realize I was just, an entertainer going to, over to USO tours.
When you leave out of here into a combat zone,
Well, first away, here, let me just roll through how I think about it. All right, you're going to a war zone, so it's a mini deployment. I was just giving you some props.
I got some sand in my boots, but I'm out there as long as y'all.
I like that.
That is cool.
Right.
That is cool.
Write that down. I'm gonna steal that one from you, Bonnie.
She is. She steals a lot of great material. All right, so welcome to the TNQ podcast. The way we get started, in order to warm up our brains, just like we would do our bodies, right? We give what's called the Mad Minute. Now, this is just off the cuff. We're gonna fire questions at you, and you just give us the first thing that pops into your mind to get your gray matter ready to talk about the other stuff in a sec. So, are you ready to go?
I am.
All right, Marcus.
I'm ready.
All right, fire when ready.
All right, favorite superhero?
Captain America.
Nice. Yes, right here. Can you see him behind me right here? He's
I
right
even
here.
have a Captain America shirt.
Nice. That's what I love. That's what I love. All right, here you go. Do you prefer Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Snapchat?
Probably Twitter. I like talking to my fans and getting messages out there, so I'd say Twitter.
There you go. Check.
First car?
First car was a Ford F-150. Actually, I'll take it back. It was a dually that my parents had, so I had to bring all my horses around, and then I got an F-150.
A dually.
Was it a crew cab dually?
Yep.
Had a girl.
She had a dually.
I mean, come on.
Now I'm embarrassed.
Right? With the baseball cap driving around. I mean, that's a big thing.
I had
when
a
Southern
night-
boys see that thing.
I had a 1985 Maxima.
I mean,
Bonnie
come
Jill
on,
had
man.
a dually.
Right?
That's
And it
cool.
was a diesel.
Oh my God, that's
Back in the
epic.
day, diesel too is real loud.
Yeah, All right. Next question. If you could have any dream career that's not what you're doing now, what would it be?
I think I'm living the dream now, what I'm doing, but the only other thing I would want to do is actually own my own sports team. I don't know if that's really a career when you're an owner, but
Sure it is.
That's one thing I want.
Well, that's pretty lofty.
Yeah.
Let me know when you do, because I want to be a scout for you.
Good.
Movie character you'd play out in real life?
Movie character, ooh, that's a tough one. Movie character that I would play in real life?
Yeah, if you could become.
If you could play them out, if
I don't know.
you would play their part and that was your life in the movie.
I gotcha. How about Tomb Raider?
Tomb Raider, Laura
yeah.
Croft.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, India too.
That's awesome. That's a treasure hunter. You could actually do that.
Adventure,
Yeah.
man.
All right. Next question. Give us one bucket list item.
Let's see. Bucket list item. God, these are tough. I would say training with the Navy SEALs. I have really wanted to do that.
We appreciate that.
And that's not me just making this up. I really have always wanted to. I don't know if I could keep up, but I've always just wanted to say I experienced that.
That's cool. All right. So, what's your power animal?
My power animal?
Yeah.
Oh, I just say probably, and people always ask me what animal I think I am. I'm going to say a horse. I grew up on a horse ranch, and I feel like I'm a horse sometimes, and that's me.
I love it. Now, I feel like a horse's ass most of the time, but that's never.
I saw a war bonnet paint the other day, man. That I grew up on a horse ranch. No, we'll get into that later. I'm sorry.
War paint? Where are you going with that?
A war bonnet paint. I saw a war bonnet paint the other day. You don't see him very. I mean, a big old stud horse war bonnet. His whole head was covered up, but his mane, he was brown around the head. He had a white mane coming out of the top, and the rest of his body was white.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's something. I didn't mean to go off on that.
No,
I'm a horse guy, too.
Yeah. I just never understood it. My aunt growing up, she had horses. I love them, but, man, they're unpredictable. That makes me a little nervous around them, you know?
Yeah, no, they're not.
Are they? They're pretty good.
Smart, man. That's what people who...
And they can tell you're nervous. If they know that you have bad energy, nervous, they'll buck you right off.
Right? That's me. That's me.
Right back on.
You ever seen the wildest Mustang or wildest thoroughbred around a special needs child?
Awesome. All right, last question,
College football or the pros?
Oh, that's tough because I'm a Longhorn, so I love my Longhorns, but I love my Cowboys too. That's kind of 50-50.
Hey, you and my brother get along, man, because he's Captain America freak and a Longhorn.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he love the Cowboys or the Texans?
Yeah, he's going to school up and down. Yeah,
that's right. Oh my gosh. That's the full Monty
whole
right
game.
there.
Yeah, right.
She loves horses. She loves Longhorns, and she's a Dallas fan. Yep. Joe Dooley.
Are you married? Wait a minute. This is kind of one of those unicorn. That's
awesome.
Start calling.
All right. Well, that is the Mad Minute, and we want to thank you for your participation. I hope that was fun for you, as it always is for us. So,
those are good questions.
I was thinking about that bucket list question, man.
It stumps everybody.
If you don't have a bucket list because you're not planning on dying yet.
Well, I don't know about that, but people just they don't spend a lot of time thinking about the need when they're in the midst of their young life and things are going great.
Stand corrected.
We stumped Taya Kyle on that one too, and she promised she would come back on with a better answer. She had I wanted to go get a beer or something. What was hers?
Hell, we can do that right
now. Anyways, so Bonnie Jill, the reason why Marcus and I started the Team Never Quit podcast is because we believed in the fact that so much negativity is going on in the world right now, and there's so many people that are struggling, whether it's in the United States or it's overseas, and all the stuff that we've seen, that we wanted to bring a show to the public that would inspire them, that would give them not only the motivation to face adversity and overcome obstacles, but also it would give them a reference point, something to be able to tap into, an educational component, if you will, of bringing on amazing guests such as yourself to share with them how they became what they are today and really where they developed that never quit mindset, their influences, and really just to hear what got you to the place you are now. So let's jump right into it. And what is your greatest never quit story?
I think being the first and only female scout in the NBA, being a female in a man's world in any profession is tough, but with that, it was very, very tough. A lot of nights of crying, wanting to quit, and I decided, like your show, never quit. I very passionate about what I do, have a lot of drive, ambition, work ethic, and so I was like, even though this is going to be a tough road, I didn't want to stop. And it was tough, like I said, having, some of these, I kind of joked around and said that some of these scouts have been scouting since the dinosaur ages. So they were like, they were not used to seeing a female, especially with my background. I mean, I played basketball, but I also was a cheerleader, a model, this and that. So they were making fun saying, oh, is she going to come scout players in her bikini? I mean, just a lot of different things. And I understand. I mean, I'm not someone, and I understand I was, very, I knew my role. And when I was starting to scout, I had Brian Shaw and Kurt Rambis and a couple of the other scouts and coaches who kind of took me under their wing and brought me to my first assignment. And it was, like I said, it was tough. I wore big baggy sweats and a baseball hat. And Brian Shaw goes, what are you wearing? Why are you walking like that? And I said, well, I'm trying to mesh in, look like I'm one of the guys. He's like, you're not going to be one of the guys ever. He goes, your knowledge, you're credible. He goes, just make sure, you get your scouting reports done and, don't worry about anyone else trying to fit in.
That's
but
cool.
I wasn't really trying to fit in at the time. And Phil Jackson, Mitch Kupchak, they all kind of just told me the same thing. You're not going to ever fit in. You're not one of the, you can feel like you are one of the guys, but you're not.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's a great piece of advice, right? Don't go in, don't try to fit in.
Just be yourself.
Try to make your way in. Right?
Yeah. Earn your way once you're there.
Right.
You got there for a reason because of you, so earn your way. So let's go back a little bit. Tell us about the transition of how you were, where you were at and what you were doing. How did that all go down where next thing you know, you get asked by the owner and say, hey, do you want to be a scout?
Right. I was actually covering the Lakers for the CBS affiliate in Los Angeles. So I was doing post and pregame. And Jerry Buss, the late Jerry Buss, always was one of those owners that liked to think outside the box. And he also was always looking for ways to incorporate females. He was, the first owner in the NBA to bring in cheerleaders. So he kind of liked bringing the female aspect. Plus his daughter runs business operations, Jeannie Buss. And so Mitch Kupchak and him and Jeannie all came to me and said, hey, we really want to try a female. We know the triangle offense. We know that it was Pac-10 at the time, Pac-10 and Big 12 conferences. Why don't you go on the road, scout a little bit, see how you like it, and we'll kind of rate you from there. And they liked my scouting reports, and they signed me to a 5-year deal and then a 5-year deal again.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, how come, what do you think is the big resistance for integrating more women into scouting or into front office positions within major league sports?
I think it really
change,
just,
right?
It's an old boy, it's an old boys club. I mean, just like, at the military, I mean, there's certain things that are just, normally, male dominated, and they really don't like to bring, females in. You're starting to see females now more in the NBA and different sports, with Becky Hammond at the Spurs, and there's some football coaches coming in now. So it is starting, but it's very, very slow process.
It is. It was funny. Before you came on, I reached out to one of my close friends, Mike Rickard, who's the head of scouting for the Red Sox. And I was talking to him about it and said, hey, why is it that women haven't moved into those positions? He goes, quite frankly, and their organization's very progressive. They'll try anything with it, whether it's scientific or whatever. And he was like, a lot of his senior scouts are guys that have been in baseball for 35, 40 years. And they're still holding on to that antiquated mentality that this is our world. It's ours. Nobody else. Women can't break in. And what you're saying is that when you did come in, did you face that? How did it ever go away, or was it just something that you learned to deal with?
I learned to deal with it. I have thick skin, so like I said, no one knows that I was crying at night because I didn't let anyone, always have my game face on during the day. But yeah, I mean, you started to have to get used to it. I mean, over time, yes, there was respect with the coaches and the scouts and other front office, but there was still the resistance from a lot of the older scouts who, like you said, have been around for so long, and they just don't want, it's not like a sexist thing. They just don't want females, in their department, I guess you could say.
The good old boys club.
Bruce and how you perform.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And I get it. I mean, it's I wasn't trying to be any different from them or get more PR or anything like that, so I really was there to get a job done. But it's still something that they didn't really care for. Even the Boston Globe did a feature on me, and we thought it was going to be something kind of positive. Ended up being them just slamming me. It was during the finals, so Lakers, Celtics, I should have known better. But then Derek Fisher comes over to me and says, have you seen this? And I'm like, no. And it was just, it was bad. It was just ripping me,
Well, that's Boston.
Boston Globe, right. And so, and this was done by a female writer, which was kind of appalling to me to have a woman's back working in sports. But, that was the first time I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting journey.
I was always fascinated how you've integrated yourself into multiple facets of the sporting world and become great at it. So it gives you a unique perspective on multiple things that you're talking about. The boys club, they don't have that. So, if you have that knowledge from actually being in there and doing that, trust me, man, when you're the one reading out the stats, people who truly concentrate on that stuff, they're going to go to the person who has the most knowledge.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the way it goes.
Well, that's what great performers do, right? People that really care about reaching the threshold of the highest performance.
She grew in life and as an adult, man, she transitioned into multiple things in the same.
Well, that's a good point you're making right there, is she grew in life. So what I want to know is, Bonnie Jill, is where did that passion for athletics start? I know you grew up on a horse farm, and your dad was into horses, and you guys lived on a ranch and all that, but when was the moment where it was like, click, I love sports?
I think a very young age, I was a daddy's girl, so I was going to a lot of sporting events with my dad. That was my way to always be with dad. And I wasn't that typical kid that just wanted to, get some foam fingers and cotton candy and stuff. Like I really, for some reason, I don't know what it was, had some passion for sports. Wanted to ask, my dad, how fast that kid run the 40, and what college did he go to, and what is an RBI? I mean, just things that little kids don't ask. And so my parents knew that, at a young age that I was going to be somehow involved with sports or make it a career. And they've always been so supportive of whatever I wanted to do, and really instilled in me integrity, work ethic, and to be goal driven and ambitious.
Well, I love because I of course follow her on Instagram and Twitter and all that, and I love when you post the pictures with you and your pop. And by the way, I love his mustache. By the way, tell him never to shave that ever in his whole life. and what's interesting is
some things just aren't going away.
Yeah. So
the old narcotics cop. So he's got that.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Oh, it's the porn stash. I mean, it's the DEA. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
When you see this, that's what comes behind that, right? Because
yeah,
makes perfect sense, man. I was like,
Kobe Bryant met my dad. He goes, Bonnie Jill, your dad looks like he's the head of the KKK. I said, no. I said, he just, he kind of just looks mean, and he wears a cowboy hat to, Laker games. Everyone does, right?
No. That's awesome. All right, so.
I just one question about pops then.
Go for it.
I mean, because I have a daughter trying to be a good dad. I ask everybody for advice on that. And my daughter's driven too, asking questions about it. You can see it rolling in her head. Was he one of those dads that let you get excited about something and then taught you everything and kind of helped you out in it? Or did he force, hey, you're going to be in horses, you're going to be in this, you're going to be in that?
No, my mom was the one who'd force things. And then my dad was the one that was very supportive in anything I did.
That says in my family too.
Yep. So my mom was forcing me to do pageants and do this and that, that I was like, whatever, I didn't really care for. And then, my dad, when it came to playing softball, riding horses, he was, very supportive, plus he loved that aspect of it. But I think it's because I'm such a daddy's girl. I kind of wanted to be like dad.
That makes total sense.
We're
Absolutely.
Women make how it's going to go, and then the men enforce it, right? Teach you everything.
Right?
So
exactly.
It's a great dynamic. Yep. So far.
All right. So when we go back to you're in high school, you're in athletics, you're doing other things. What was in your mind where you wanted to go in life? I mean, what was Bonnie Jill like? What was your target area that you were determined to set out on that path for?
I don't know, I've always just kind of had this conquer the world mentality. So when I said earlier that I wanted to own a sports team, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I need to make more, enough money so I can support my charity and own a team and just have fun. But I always was just thinking, sports. And I loved it. So I knew it could be something where you get paid for, but loving it. And that's what you should do when you're in a career.
That's exactly right.
Hey, here's how I know you're going to have a sports team one day, because you always hear about the greatest owners and they talk about it like, man, they started just at the beginning when they were young.
Right.
Working at the team, doing anything, a cheerleader, working their way up. She's a scout. I mean, so when you are the boss, you do own the team. When you have people who work underneath you and they come up with the excuses, like that's an excuse. I know because I did that.
Right. Absolutely.
That's what's great in the SEAL teams, man, as you get seniority and you've had those quals when the new guys come up, like it's not working, because you're like, yeah, try again. Get back over there.
Absolutely.
So you'll have one day.
Well,
which we need some tickets, by the way.
All right. So the question now, let's shift the focus a little bit and move towards, when did your passion to, really helping troops, not only going over doing USO stuff, but also, starting your charity that you started. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. But when did that all kick off for you?
Well, I grew up in a military family. Both my grandfathers served in World War II. One was actually awarded a Silver Star and a Purple Heart. He was in the Bataan Death March, which I'm sure you guys. Yeah, and he was a POW. So, and then my uncle was a career Marine who served in Vietnam. So all the people in my life I looked up to were military or law enforcement. So at a young age, I wanted to make sure that I always supported my heroes. And my uncle one time told me how when he was in Vietnam, Elizabeth Taylor visited them and how it just changed the morale and the just everything about that he said just really helped them get through that war at the time. So I remember thinking, gosh, one day I hope I can go over and entertain for our troops. And I was able to with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders in Bosnia and Japan and Germany. And then from there was able to keep going on my own and MC, downrange in Iraq and Afghanistan with Toby Keith and Gary Sinise and you name it. And it's just it's such an honor just to be able to go over there, bring a piece of America to our troops, tell them that there are people here that support them. It's like I said, it's really life-changing to be there.
Well, tell us a great never quit story about being downrange for us. I know you got one in all the trips you made, so give us a great never quit story about being downrange.
Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, one time, and I'm not making this up. I know some of these reporters make things up all the time when they're there, but I actually was up in a Black Hawk, and they started to fire some RPGs at us, and they thought that I was in the helicopter and the bird with Cheney and McCain, and it was one of those things where they thought we were one of the other Black Hawks, and I was with a bunch of wrestlers, and Diamond Dallas Page was saying the Our Father.
Diamond Dallas, yeah.
DDP.
They were all like crying and just freaking out. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I kept thinking, wow, if this is the way I'm going to go out, this is huge. I want to go out like this.
Right? Thank you. Come on.
This is the way to go. And the rest were just, they were literally like a couple of the girls were crying, and I was just like, oh wow, this is badass. So I'm kind of weird, but anyways.
No, that's not weird. That's cool.
Yeah, there were so many times mortars were going off. Like you said, you're in a war zone, but I don't know. To me, it's like, we're protected by the best. And I never felt like I wasn't safe. I always felt, I felt safe. It was weird. A lot of people are scared to go downrange. There's a lot of rappers who say they're, all tough, and then, right before they cancel because they're scared. So it's funny. You kind of see that some of these celebrities aren't as tough as they think they are.
Not at all. Not at all.
I was thinking about, she was telling a story of the pilots flying that, and the gunner, they were like, bro, we got to get through this one.
Totally.
You better fly the rotor off this damn thing to get out of here with who we got in here.
I remember flying my first night up, and the tracers come up and out of the mountainside, and I'm like, what are they? They're shooting at us, man.
Yeah.
They're shooting at us? Are we really
telling
getting...
me to get back because I was trying to look out the window, and they were like, "Man, please get back."
Yeah, and the Blackhawks aren't built for comfort.
No.
Right. So when you start taking strafing rounds and they got to start doing some maneuvering, man, when you get sucked to the... They have the doors on it? Oh, of course they did. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then they called some Apache support, everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is awesome, man.
Awesome. I thought it was
You were in it. They got to call for some
Yeah,
backup.
yeah, totally. I love it. All right. So tell us a little bit about charity. Did the charity come during that time, after? Tell us about that.
I was involved with so many different charities that I was helping out, Semper Fi Fund and Operation Gratitude and you name it. And so I wanted to be able to start my own as well. And I love dogs. So I wanted to be able to start pairing up, dogs with our heroes when they come back. So we rescue dogs from the shelter, and then we train them, and then we pair them up with, a lot of the wounded warriors. And it's been very, very rewarding, and I love it.
Well, I love how you describe it online, where you're like, we rescue the dogs, and then the dogs rescue the vets, and I love that concept. It's a beautiful thing of that, refurbishing the soul of the animal, and then it just translates perfectly into the soul of the individual.
Basically saving 2 lives.
It's
Best
awesome.
program ever. I mean, me and Mr. Rigby.
Rigby's actually...
I was going to ask you if he was there.
Oh, no, right here. He comes in with us almost every show, for sure.
Is that a dog? In the background. I keep catching my eye. Do you have one of your dogs in the background? I think I see his tail wagging.
Oh, no, that's my cat, but I have dogs too. Actually, a blind military bomb sniffing dog that got blown up in Afghanistan, and no one wanted his handler didn't want him, and so we took him in. So he's a big German Shepherd, and we
Lucky.
love him.
His name Lucky.
Wow. That's awesome. All right. Tell me.
That's a great program, by the way. I mean, because when I got out and I got Riggs, I got thrown into the world that I'm in right now. It's just me and him. Morgan was still in the teens, wasn't married or anything like that. I mean, this dude, millions of sky miles, just 24/7. Like, the thing with the dogs when y'all pair them up is we have 2 lives with these dogs. Most of the time, people have pets. They go out during the day. The amount of time they spend with them, man. With this guy, I've gotten so much time. I mean, just amazing. I mean, it's kind of an anxiety thing when you live.
No, that's a good question. No, when I mean, because obviously you got dropped in the middle of the madness and all this.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you got Rigby with us or with you. When you would finish a speech or a presentation or whatever, and you go back, what was that connection that makes it so valuable? Was it?
Man, it's just kind of weird. The dog mentality, that loyalty, always happy to see you, always in a good mood, no matter what it is, up with you.
Right.
And he is, if I get up out of bed and go anywhere in the middle of the night, you know the deal. He's with me. He's always focused on me. And when after a while, when something shows you that much attention, man, you naturally just kind of start showing it attention. And what happens is you start taking care of it and you have feelings for it and you redevelop. Help me with this one, man.
The cognitive actually it's the emotional dissonance that happens as a result of combat.
Right. So you know how we're wired as team guys, man. There's no emotional. I mean, we love each other and everything like that's tough. I mean,
but we're not going to take long showers together.
Right. I mean, you're not going to sit there and me and this dog have had hours of conversations and it was one way, you know, that kind of stuff. I'd talk out loud to him. I'm talking out loud to my dog. You know, so that's why I had to give him Rigby has Christopher Walken's voice, by the way. We've gone with that anyway. Yeah. So when I think when he's looking at me a certain way, I get that Christopher Walken.
Dude,
that's the kind of stuff that happens when you're with you.
Did he join you at the RNC?
No, he's retired.
Yeah, he retired.
He's semi-retired now.
You know, he's 11. He's almost 12. He loves being a house dog. Oh, he figured out that what being pet is all about. So man, he never had been touched ever, and he figured out what that's all, the scratching, the belly stuff like that. And I mean, it's unbelievable. He's like, we're making up for this 10 years we've been together, brother. Get busy. I mean, it's great. That great program, man. I support Southeastern God, you know that. So man, thank you for what you're doing.
The other thing that we're doing now is we're going to do equine therapy. So we've actually rescued a bunch of race horses and different horses from slaughter, and we are doing equine therapy. And we've had a couple of retreats already with some of our veterans, and that's in Frisco, Texas. And it's been really successful because, you know, Marcus would probably be able to tell you, you know, horses are very therapeutic as well as dogs. So we're doing, you know, we're expanding a little bit.
All right, we're partners on both sides of that because the Lone Survivor Foundation was built off of that ranch concept with the horses. I mean, I kept going home after deployments. That's why I don't have any problems. And then we got plenty of dogs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But another interesting thing
we got plenty of dogs.
Well, one of the another interesting things that I think about you, Bonnie Jill, is just your ability to be focused and passionate about one thing. Now, we've talked extensively about your passion in athletics, right? Your passion for veterans. Share with us a little bit about your passion for animal rights too. I think it's a remarkable thing because many people, I mean, obviously, I don't think a lot of people realize just how hammered animal rights activists get, right? I mean, it's, you know, a lot of people come after you guys unnecessarily.
Like a crazy one though, you know, some of them can be kind of nuts and crazy animal activists, but you know, my thing, like right now I'm doing a lot with Capitol Hill with the horse slaughter because they're killing a lot of horses for human consumption in different countries. They eat them there. And so I've been doing a lot with, you know, making sure that we can save as many horses as possible. So I meet with a lot of senators and congressmen about that. And then also helping with the military, with the service dogs, be able to have the VA, you know, provide this. So I work a lot, you know, on both sides, but yes, I'm pretty avid on both.
Well, what blows me away, and listen, I think I'm similar to you in that I see something that sparks me, it gets me in here, and I, you know, drive forward to make it happen. And where does that come from in you? I mean, why? Because you are never sitting still. You always got 50 gazillion things going on. What is that? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think my parents kind of instilled in me independence. Obviously, I've sacrificed a lot. That's why I don't have any kids or married. Everything goes into my career in charity. And I think that's my parents always were really big on giving back. They always, you know, let me know that that's very important, to always pay it forward. And we're put on this earth, you know, to make sure that we make a difference. So again, at a young age, I was, you know, helping, you know, with my parents with a lot of different things, with the homeless veterans to, you know, you name it, rescuing dogs from the shelter. So that's something at a small age. So basically sports, military, and animals was something. And I guess it's kind of being a voice for the voiceless, if that makes sense.
Totally, absolutely.
Well, I mean, those three components make up my life. Growing up from a kid, I mean, it's just And that's what it is. It makes up who you are. All the stuff that you do and all these components in your life that you reach out and touch, you pull all those together. You're looking at it right there. And that's what, that's the same thing I do and Rut does, man. It's those little details about like, oh, I wouldn't even have expected her or you to do something like that. I'm like, well, man, there's multiple levels to it, right? I got a lot of passion for multiple things. So
Absolutely.
It's great that you can get out and do that.
Too many people right now on social media that, it's great to have a successful career and it's great to be, pretty, this and that, but I think you need to have some substance. You need to be able to, have something that you're passionate about and want to give back, make a difference. I don't like when I see women who are just successful and they don't do anything with it. They don't use their platform for good. So,
there's a lot of that. That's for sure.
That's what comes behind it. That's the thing about it. We talk about
the depth.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's the people who get out and actually experience all that stuff. And when they come in and you hear their name, it's not who's standing in front of you. It's what comes with them, man. So.
Right. Now, people aren't always going to agree with you. You guys know how that is. A lot of people will say things to me about, that, I'm a conservative and I don't make sure, I don't hide it. I believe in God. I support our troops and I get a lot of backlash on social media about it, and I don't, I'm one of those people that you got to stand for something, right? And so I don't care what people agree with me or not.
Well, I'll tell you what,
at peace.
That's rule number 6 for my girls is stand up for your beliefs, right? And that's something that you got to do. And it's unfortunately nowadays you get so persecuted for your beliefs, and especially if your beliefs, are as varied in a bunch of different things, and what the challenge I believe for that never quit mindset is, where do you pull the strength from? What is your core foundation, the cornerstone of your moral compass, and how do you hold true to that? So the question goes to you, Bonnie Jill, is when you are getting those haters reaching out, or you're in an environment where you're singled out, so to speak, and the pressure's on you, what do you tap into mentally and emotionally to hold hard?
I have to kind of watch it because I don't have much of a filter. So there's times that I got to take a breath and be like, all right, okay, maybe I shouldn't tweet this out yet. Let me calm down, So I try to, if it's really someone who's just, very ignorant, I probably normally just block them and don't respond. But sometimes if it's someone that's, maybe can be educated, that's what I try to do, or I try to let them know where I'm coming from, especially when it comes right now with the Kaepernick thing, with him not standing for the national anthem, there's just things that I just won't tolerate. And so I'll make sure to, speak on it and say it. And if you don't agree with me, tough. But, if you're living in America and you forget that what this country stands for, and you don't, support our troops and that flag, move, take off.
Go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Go to France.
Man,
right?
Just to touch on that whole stand for something and that belief in something, man, that kind of develops trust, right? It's hard to trust somebody, man, if they don't stand for something, because if they can switch on,
even if it's something totally different than you, at least they are holding hard.
That's why our training is the way it is too. That if we can trust each other to take care of the little mundane stuff during the problem times, the hard times, then everything else is a joke, man. So, and that gets to the never quit mentality. It's that. With other people. You can go as far as you can by yourself, man, but you get around some other people.
So do you have, Bonnie Jill, last question in this segment, and we'll get to more of the in-depth how you do in your regular life in the After Actions report here in a little bit, but what are the types of people that you're looking for to be your teammates in this quest that you're on in life? No, to be a decent human being, to reach out for things bigger than yourself, to serve the greater good, but also in your own personal goals. What type of person are you hoping to surround yourself, and what type of people do you have around you right now?
Yes, that's very important, to make sure you surround yourself with good people. And like all my girlfriends, they're all like-minded like myself, and they're very career-driven. They're very passionate as well. I can't be around, the girls that are superficial or don't stand for anything. So all my girls are very patriotic. They're all career-driven, very family-oriented, believe in God. So there's a lot of things that I just really like to surround myself, with family and friends. It's the same thing. I'm not saying that I'm going to look down on someone if they don't have my same beliefs. They're just not in my inner circle.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think what you do well too is even if you see somebody who has a lot of people have the same common goal to get on something, but man, if one of them is so extreme on it, they'll even push away I'm agreeing with you, man. Like, we ain't agreeing enough. That kind of stuff. But if you
the filter,
yeah, I know you said you don't have one, but Yeah, you do a little bit because of the way you work with multiple charities and multiple aspects of it. I mean, I love animals and I do a lot of stuff for them, but I also hunt. And it's one of those deals where you put those together to take care of those animals in the best way I can. I know that there's times where I have to do that. In the beginning, we hunt, we eat the food, all that kind of stuff goes into it.
Yeah, that's different the way you do it. I'm talking about some of the trophies are killing giraffes and stuff.
There's people in our own kind of circle that love animals that, man, will ostracize me because and that's fine. I get it, man, but that's the way I live my life, and I can still work with them if possible, or if not, man, and you do that well too. So that's kind of the key. And that comes with age and the experience and being in multiple parts of it, like you are, and like I was and Rut. So
being confident.
Yeah, you do that well.
Well, we just love what you do out there. We're big fans of yours, and man, it's just thank you so much for coming on the Team Never Quit podcast with Marcus and I.
Thank you. Next time I gotta do it in person because this was fun.
You got it. When you listen to her describe, at its core, her patriotic focus. I mean, imagine growing up, your dad's a narcotics cop.
Awesome, right?
I mean, and
this guy's got great stories.
And his mustache is so awesome.
Of course he does.
Yeah. And when you hear about her uncle and all the people in the military, her commitment, how many times she's gone overseas, and the fact,
that's the thing about it, man. And I remember at the Chicago Gala when you said that. That's a lot, man.
It's a lot to go down range 18 times. I don't care if it's 2 weeks, 1 week, whatever. I mean, that's a commitment.
Yeah, it's not first class, and then the Four Seasons when you get over there, man.
No, you're in the DFAC and Kuwait, and it's horrible, man. And
hurry up and wait.
Oh,
especially those when she go outside the green zone.
Oh, flying around. I mean, you'd heard the helicopter story, and she was all fired up, man. I was just like, that's cool.
Right.
My thing is,
the first time that happened when those helos started, because we don't have the doors on.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man.
And you're on the side. Yeah.
You're in the door.
Oh, dude. I'd say the freakiest for me was when I worked for Blackwater, and I ran this building project. I was designing and building the Afghan border police in Gardez and Herat. I'd get on those old Mi-17s that like Lockheed Martin was renting from the local government, and they were like 40 years old, and dudes would come out with like their cigarettes and
bent rotor,
the bent rotor, and there'd be riggers tape go around, and
hitting them.
Oh, dude, and I would get on those, and it was just me and these pilots, and they'd be smoking in the cockpit, and it's just me, and I'd open the door, and I'd be flying over the middle of nowhere, looking out, and I'd be like, this is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's a different vibe, when those first time those tracers go off behind you, and you're just like...
I mean, exactly when you're like, man, that's cool. Wait.
That's attached to a 14.7 millimeter.
And tell me, every team guy's heard this when the first time you're in a 47 and you're sitting under the rotor and it's leaking onto your face and all that. I remember I was like, "Hey man, the thing's leaking." He goes, "When it stops, tell me. That's when we got a problem."
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like a heavy leak.
Oh yeah. Did you ever
"Man."
have to do the transits in the old Seawolf? I remember we did one.
2 or 1 rotor.
2 rotors. It was our bus, and we took one.
Oh yeah,
we took that thing from Guam to I think we were going to either Tinian or Saipan, but then we flew out to some island to shoot rockets because it was the only. And I remember going out there, and there was a storm going, and the thing, and it was, leaking everywhere, and the pilots, you could hear them because we were all on comms, and they're like, we might have to just set her down out there, and you're just like.
Where?
Just ocean.
Define where.
Yeah. Where are you talking?
Hey, Morgan's in that helicopter. They said there's nothing more terrifying as when that helicopter stops flying in the air. And I heard that from a couple of Rangers who were in some helicopter crashes in a storm. One guy in Afghanistan paralyzed a monkey. Dude, he has monkey's tail still. He was hooked into the door. And when they hit the ground, he went out of the hellhole and it snapped him in half. It
broke his back.
Yeah. And I mean, he goes, I was out. I came to, my hand was over the top of my head, paralyzed. I couldn't move. And he goes, I kind of looked up, man, the helicopter was on fire. One dude was on fire walking around the deal, dragging some of the guys out. I mean, it was the craziest thing. And then when Morgan got in that helicopter crash, that bending, probably what the Titanic sounded like when, ships when
that bending metal,
that bending metal.
Yeah, the warping metal. Yeah.
Screaming
metal.
Yeah. And when they hit that ship, he's just like, man,
oh my gosh.
And then the thing about when he stood up, he didn't trying to figure out what was going on is when he fell off the superstructure, and that's how he broke his back. broke his pelvis.
Right.
Because he was in the door when they hit. So, but he goes, man, there's nothing more.
It's crazy.
Terrifying.
All right. So, Bonnie Jill, when you think about it,
oh, man,
we digressed on that one a little bit.
How did we even get into that? When she was getting
shot at. So, when you think about, her campaign now in life, and I love the goal that she wants to be an owner of a team. And that's her quest, and that's her vision, because she loves sports so much.
I think she'll do that. I think she'll get that done, man.
Well, nothing's impossible.
Right, you hear those CEOs are like, he started in the mailroom. He worked his way up through the whole deal. Somebody who starts like she did in an obscure place where you think they had no way of making it to the front office.
Yep, they get there. So I think she's a real inspiration for everybody. I think she's an amazing. It's called passion and purpose, right? And it's the thing that keeps her going. And I just love to hear that. I love to hear that, man. And it's amazing.
Well, she believes in herself.
She totally believes in herself. We were talking about
that. Once you have we always call it the baseline, but your principles, your morals, and they don't flex or fudge or bend or break or anything like that. It's just with what you are.
Right.
Once you have established that, and over time with the experience, it really comes in, it solidifies, right? And,
absolutely.
Once you believe in yourself, it's easier to trust in other people, especially if you know they have a baseline themselves. You don't have to test somebody's more baseline that to push them all the way like we do.
Yep.
I mean, you see what everybody's made of in Bud's training. That's where it all starts, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way in every environment.
No, it's unnecessary.
Once you trust yourself, you believe in yourself and what you're capable of, it's easier for you to go out and work with other people, become that team, and then have a common goal and go for it.
Amen to that. And I think that's what Bonnie Jill's done. And so I just want to, we typically like to end the show by reading one of the shared stories, because what we ask you to do, if you love the show and you're really getting moved by it, we want you to write in and share your greatest never quit story with us. Or if you've got someone that you care about or love, go ahead and write in and share their greatest never quit story too. And you can do that on our website on tnqpodcast.com under Share Your Story segment. And just go ahead, and if you've got a great video, go ahead and videotape or use your cell phone, do a short video, send us in. And what we do is we go through those things. And if we find a good one, we go ahead and read it on here. And if we get a great one, Marcus, what do?
Bringing you on.
We bringing you on, just like we've done with Katie. So what we want to do now is read one of those shared stories with us. And this one kind of hit me hard, man.
Hey, that's my favorite time wizard story time, because he gets into that.
The voice, my reader's voice. It's my narrator's voice.
Is it too late to change to a radio voice?
Yes.
Is it too late for you to do that?
It's way too late, bud. It's way too late.
Gene Vandenham?
Don't do Gene Vandenham. Because I can't keep it together if you do a Ross Patterson, Gene Vandenham range 15 deal, but I can't. All right, so here, this one comes in from Katie, all right? I wanted to share my story with you because you guys constantly inspire me to never quit when I am faced with challenges. And though I most likely will never go through anything as challenging as you have, I've had some hard times where quitting seemed like a good idea. Where do I start? I was overweight my whole life. Heck, I'm pretty sure I came out of the womb wrapped in bacon with a side of ranch. Going through life like that as a kid was rough, and bullying was an everyday reality for me. I will never forget the day I was called revolting in front of my whole class, or the time a boy beat me with a plastic cricket wicket, leaving nasty welts on my backside. It was the price I paid for being a fat loser, I guess. One day I was inspired to change this obese life I was living and ended up losing approximately 60 pounds purely through hard work, dedication, and a desire to never give up. My first goal was to run 20 seconds straight. Can you believe that? I was that unhealthy. Later, I would run a 10K, which was a huge achievement for me. I have kept that weight off ever since, and now I enjoy a much healthier life. But losing weight didn't solve everything. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2014 after a long battle to find a cause of my daily pain. It's a chronic incurable disease that affects women significantly.
Painful, man.
Basically, where the lining of the uterus packs up and moves around the body to find a more home. It's extremely painful and can fuse organs together, as did mine, fusing my abdomen to the wall of the lining nearby. I had surgery to diagnose and fix my abdomen in 2015 and a follow-up surgery a month later. The year before, I had moved to the big old US of A from my home in Australia to marry my sweetheart, who is a United States Marine. He was away for both surgeries, so I faced the recovery completely alone. This wasn't unusual to me, though, because when I first moved to the U.S., he was deployed just 1 month later, and I spent a lot of time alone, braving the roads to teach myself how to drive on the right-hand side of the road and ask strangers for help where I didn't know anything was going on, including where to find the supermarket. Endometriosis is my daily struggle now, and there is no cure. It's hard to move some days and hard to get out and do things by myself, but I never want to be one of those people who sits and cringes and whines, and it's too hard to do things. So I force myself to get out and do as much as possible. Scratch that. Especially on hard days, I love being outdoors and spend as much time as possible. I try to make myself as mentally tough as I can, so to live a full life. Not life resting on the couch, because even though I'm in pain or sick, I don't want to become a victim of the disease. These are just a couple of stories. I don't like to talk that much about myself, like I said, but I had to share them because there was something inside me that wanted the team to know that you guys inspire me so much to get through life's challenges. And all I want to do is thank you for that. And I will never give up because of you. Well, Katie, thank you for writing in. Thank you for sharing that story. It's exactly what we want listeners to do, to connect through the power of the Team Never Quit podcast, to connect with the insight that the guests come on and share, to connect with the stories that Marcus and I have driven us to understand the power of the human condition, and that we're all connected through our ability to endure hardship. So, Marcus, as we typically end, what do you think, bud?
I know what that is. Because 18 Delta, man, we study up on that. And we were talking about this last night because of how poorly we did. You did in cardiology, right?
Yeah.
We had to study L&D.
Yep.
It says that she had the uterus moves around and it attaches to the intestine, which means every time she goes through peristalsis with those intestines, man, that it moves the uterus, which causes that pain, right?
Intense pain.
So like if you eat, you're going to be in pain.
Yep.
And it's just like when I watched Melanie give birth to Axe, we're standing over top of it, and one thing that team guys can do, man, you can look into somebody's eyes, see how much pain they're in relation to how bad or well or poorly they're taking it.
Right.
The fact that she's supposedly motivated standing up is painful.
Yep, everything, walking.
Moving around, and then just that, I don't want to say they're conditioned to take pain more than we are, man, but they can take pain.
They can take a lot of it.
And then their mental attitude is what drives that. And that's what motivates, in this family, how motivating the women are is because everything they can take, and then they push through it. So why couldn't we?
Amen.
And that's just a prime example of that, man. I mean, people hear that word, they don't know what it is, they don't think it's any big deal. It is. And for all the women out there who suffer from whatever, and they just don't say anything, man, because they think if I say something, well, I'm a woman, and then I have a problem. I mean, I complained to my wife. I had a splinter the other day, man, and I tell you what, dude. So I didn't mean to go down off on a tirade there, but closing this out, I'd like to give thanks to God and to all the women out there for all the crap you take daily and for all the pain you put up with, just to have a smile on your face. So guys like me can think I'm manly. I'm doing a good job. I don't know, baby. To my wife, I love you every day so much more and more. And thanks to everybody out there for listening and letting us do this.
Amen. And I just want to thank God, and I want to thank my family, in particular my wife, and I want to thank all the other women out there who are amazing at what you do and what you have to suffer with and what you don't, and the inspiration that you give each other. I want to thank Wizard, and I want to thank Marcus for giving me the opportunity to bring a positive outlook on life to so many people. So if you've listened to this show and you want to keep listening, please do us a favor and spread the word. Teach your friends and your family, your mothers, your sisters, how important the show can be to help you. And Katie, thank you for writing in.
Thank you, Katie.
That's all I got, Marcus.
I'm out.
We're out.
Never quit. Never quit.